Okay, everybody, you've got no more minutes left. It's okay, I can keep my tea there.
So,
So we're all together here, yeah, Daniel left. Do you want another seat? Maybe you'll see the board or the screen
no,
better?
I don't see very well, so I prefer to stay close.
Okay,
Thank
well then move over one, because it'll be a little closer. No, okay. Anyway, so we've done the 3 rays of aspect. You've got the recording on?
Should be still running.
Okay. You got the 3 rays of aspect down pat, right? So now if you remember the one of the slides that I had where I showed the sun and then the 3 aspects raying down from the sun, then from the 3rd, all the other 4 flowed. So we're into the rays of attribute now. And the word attribute, what does attribute really mean? It I didn't look it up in the dictionary, so I don't know the dictionary explanation of attribute, but it belongs to something else. It's like part of something else. So these are attributes of the other 3, which are known as the rays of aspect, and these are the rays of attributes. They are more specific. They are more concrete. They are more readily seen and felt, but they are not more human, even though they're more, our senses can sense that a little bit more. They are all equal breaths of God and equally divine lives. So the 4th ray is called harmony through conflict. Again, juxtapose 2 different opposite words in this name, harmony, and then you've got the word conflict. So you can see that there's a duality there, there's an opposite there. All of that plays into the energy. The 4th ray is the first of the rays of attributes. Therefore, it shares qualities that are somewhat similar to the 1st ray, because it is, after all, the first of the 4. And if you were to look at the Big Dipper, you would see the handle has the 3 rays of aspect, and then the pot part has the rays of attribute. And the first one of the pot is the 4th ray. It is the ray that breathes life in its fullness and in its potential. It also receives parentage or qualities or help from the 2nd ray. And so therefore it shares a sensitivity, inclusivity, and at-one-ment. But it has a tremendous range of expression. And you'll see in a little while exactly why. So what does the 4th ray do? Well, when you think of 7, the 4th is in the middle, right? In the middle. Well, being in the middle, what's it like to be in the middle of something? You know what, 3 kids and you got a middle kid. What is it like to be in the middle?
Pulled in 2 directions.
That's right.
Uncomfortable.
Sometimes it's uncomfortable because you're pulled in 2 directions. Exactly right. So, but the 4th ray wants harmony. So therefore, it's a unifying energy. It is associative. That means if you have 4th ray on the mind, which I do, you hear something and you tend to associate it in your mind with something else you already know. So it's associative. It's oscillating. You know what I mean by oscillating? You can go up and go down, and go up and go down, just like an oscillator, right? And it's linking. It links this with that. Its quality is equilibrium. Everything in a status position. At-one-ment, bringing it all together, which is different than synthesis. Synthesis brings it down to like a point. This wants everything to be harmonized into an energy that is equal and equal, equal, doesn't have its ups and downs. It wants everything to be equalized. Peace. What other ray was about peace?
2.
Correct. And it's drama. It's drama. And you'll see why in a minute. It symbols the bridge. It links this to that. It's the seesaw. It can oscillate. It can go up and go down like a pendulum, swings from one to the other. It's the scales of justice. that Libra talks about the scales of justice, even though Libra does not convey the fourth ray that we know of. It's tragedy and comedy masks. Again, you've got the opposites here. And it's the artist's palette. Some of its qualities are harmony, unity, peace. All of these are divine qualities. Beauty, not the love of beauty, but just beauty itself, is the palette of God from which all is created and made known. It seeks peace, harmony, continually seeking balance. The fourth ray bridges, it brings together, it links, it wants to at one. So here you're going to see, again, a lot of slides. That kind of, it unifies, it unites. It rules the Antakarana. Do you know what the Antakarana is? Oh, good. Excellent. So it rules the Antakarana. It's about beauty and color. That's why it's the palette of God. It wants to beautify and harmonize. It can be subtle and refined, or bold and dramatic. I often wonder if there's a fourth ray in some of these countries, whether it's Nepal or whatever the country, Thailand or whatever it is, because he hasn't given us those rays. You know? Pageantry of color and design. It's the ray of opposites. Do you think it's easy for fourth ray? No, this can't be easy. Comedy and tragedy. Because they have a very wide spectrum of everything, they can see everything that's here, everything that's here. And therefore, where's the middle? You know, they can see all the good, all the bad, and then they have to find a place within their consciousness to bring it somehow to a place where they feel comfortable with it, where it's harmonious. So that's not all on one side or all on the other side. And because it is the ray of humanity, fourth ray, people that have a strong fourth ray in their constitution understand humanity very, very well and can depict the human condition very well. And this is depicted in art, it's depicted in literature, it's depicted in expression, the way, music, thank you, music. And so they can embody the human condition. And therefore you have many movies and plays and operas that are all about tragedy. And you have other ones that are light, comedic, and to have a totally different tone to them, because they can have the full expression. But life for many strong fourth ray is difficult because of the opposites. It penetrates to the depths of the psyche. Conflict is dissonance. It's that which isn't resonating in harmony. It's chaotic and what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, that's good, but I'm looking for a specific word. It's not coming to my mind. Not all is in a state of at-one-ment or peace. Conflict is part of the human condition. Do you know the Kurukshetra? Have you heard of that? The Kurukshetra was the battlefield that Krishna helped Arjuna come to terms with. Arjuna was a warrior, and he found himself on the battlefield having to war against two sides, and each of them was part of his family. So he had to learn to walk the middle path between the two and to find peace between that. This is very, very classic. It's written up in a lot of books, and there's constant reference to the middle way and the middle path that Arjuna had to walk through. So they were both his family. That was the hard part for him, to learn to be at peace. It's got the fighting spirit, and they'll fight many times to be contrary, many times to be arbitrary, many times to create that tension, that fight that they are comfortable with. They'll disagree for the sake of disagreeing, not necessarily the principle of it, just to disagree. It's also about fighting. It's also about being a warrior. Fourth ray wants peace very much, and therefore they make very good mediators, trying to bring peace between conflicting partners, between countries. They're mediators. It is the ray of improvisation, spontaneity, excuse me, and is the arts in all forms. Why are there two little things on the screen there?
One is,
Because there was only one earlier, that's all I'm saying, because it's blocking some of the words, that's all. Okay, the fourth ray entertains. Many fourth ray types are on the screen. They're on television, they're in movies, they're on stage. Mhm. Fourth ray has a presence. Fourth ray, they get your attention. They're when they speak, you listen. There's something about the way in which they communicate that has a presence to it. I don't know how else to say it, but it's not that it's so attractive. It just, oh, they're very present. Think of Tamara, fourth ray personality. She spoke, we all listened, even though we didn't agree with anything she said necessarily, but she had a presence. Dramatic. It's the trumpet of the Lord. That is really not a trumpet. Didn't choose very well, did I? Okay, so it's the ray of the human kingdom. The ray of the artist. Not necessarily the craftsmanship, but the artist. There's a difference, right? This fourth ray person would be the one painting all these symbols on the instruments. It expresses humor. Okay, so the animal is also a deer. And the personality is Italy. So where did opera originate from? And if fourth ray, I think Italy is now known that it's got great taste. Anything it turns out is fabulous, whether it's clothing, whether it's shoes, whatever it does, it's beautiful. Everybody wants to own Italian things because they're so beautiful. The food there is delicioso, right? It's delicious. The way in which they express themselves, they use their hands, they use their emotions, they use their drama. Fourth ray, right? Are you with me? Follow? India, its personality. Look how colorful the saris are. Look how colorful it is. And look at the contrast within that country. You have people on the streets, you have people living in palaces. So the diversity there is huge between, it's not equal. There's no harmony there. Germany's soul is also fourth ray. And many artists, the Renaissance period produced a wonderful a number of artists and musicians coming from Germany, and Austria's soul as well. So they're linked together. And Brazil's soul is fourth ray. The music coming from Brazil. It's got that upbeat, and it's got a very. I was teaching in Brazil for 2 years there, and so during carnival time, they sing on the streets. There's music on the streets. There's so much liveliness and music there in Brazil. Also, I didn't find the city that I was in. I didn't find it beautiful at all for fourth ray soul. But every restaurant we went to, every store that was in a mall, the presentation of food was by far the best I've ever seen anywhere. It was gorgeous. I took pictures of just the presentation of food in the restaurants. Even an inexpensive restaurant had beautiful presentations. So their artistry came out there. I remember writing a whole thing to my hostess about how I saw Brazil. So, as I said, no one person or one country uses all the qualities that we are talking about. It's usually very specialized. So institutions would be peacekeeping, United Nations, and the arts generally, but you can have any ray being an artist. You can have a first ray artist with the strokes that are very distinct and huge strokes and not have the detail, because first ray isn't about detail. You can have fourth ray, which is beautiful art. And we'll go into the other rays later on. Vocational tendencies are mediation, resolution, social work, humanities, the arts, decoration. A lot of designers and decorative people that are into decorating are fourth ray. They have a good eye for how these things should go together. Drama, entertainment, interior design, massage. Who would have thought of massage as being fourth ray? Beautification and art therapy. And some people would be Schubert, William Shakespeare, Mozart, Michelangelo, Kissinger, Madeleine Albright, Jimmy Carter, Picasso, Edgar Allan Poe. You know the life he lived, how tragic his life was, and how conflicted he was all the time. Elizabeth Taylor and Robin Williams. Some of the strengths, pull out your strengths sheet. Any questions so far? Bringing harmony out of conflict. They grow through struggle and crisis. Can you imagine living your life, and many fourth rays do, constant crisis? I have a very good friend and we go out for lunch all the time. She's got stories galore, how dramatic her life is. Every story has got the drama attached to it. I mean, it's entertaining, that's for sure. And I love to listen to her, but everything is difficult because everything is seen through those eyes, Peacemaking, reconciling, facility to compromise, facility for compromise. Why do you think they compromise a lot?
You're trying to bring the two ends together.
Right, it's for peace, for harmony. Mediation, bridging and linking, the love of beauty and the capacity to create or express it. They have refined artistic and aesthetic sensibilities. Strong imagination. Many many books are very descriptive. You can almost see what they're trying to say to you. Fourth ray there, for them to describe it in the way that they do. Very, very descriptive. And intuition. What other rays do you think are intuitive? Yes. And what other ray is intuitive?
The sixth ray?
No, that we've covered. No.
First ray.
First ray, right. They get it from the top down, very intuitive. Love of color. They're colorful, whether it be in their dress, whether it be in their home, whether it be in their expression, colorful expression. Literary abilities, word painting, storytelling, ability to amuse, to delight, and to entertain. Spontaneity and improvisation, fighting spirit. They'll always play the devil's advocate. They'll fight for principles, which is very similar to first ray. First ray is very principled. They see the opposites, sensitive to dissonance, and empathetic, they feel life. Right? Any questions so far? And some of the weaknesses, embroiled in conflict, struggle or turmoil, whether it be inner or outer, crisis-oriented, churning, rarely at rest, moving from one extreme to the other, overwhelmed. What other ray was overwhelmed? Right. Cannot deal with dissonance of life, self-absorbing in suffering, very dramatic. Worry. What other ray was about worry? Right. Agitation, indecision. Why is it so hard for them to make a decision? Sorry. That's right. Lack of confidence. Why?
Maybe before they're able to find a balance, they lack confidence.
Yeah, because they see this, so it's like a turmoil. It's very hard to feel confident when nothing falls into place. Combative, argumentative, excessive moodiness, manic and depression. They go through highs and lows. The sponge absorbs too much. What other? True. Unpredictable, unreliable, impractical. Why?
Impractical, why?
Mhm.
Because they think to overthink. They try
It's-
to
it's-
match these.
It's not in the mind. It's not in the mind, the fourth ray necessarily, but that's not what makes them impractical.
Is it because like they're more liable to be reactive?
Yeah,
And so maybe they can make bad decisions sometimes.
yeah. A lot of it has to do with the chaos that they find themselves in. So they can't be practical because they're surrounded by everything that's lacking in harmony. So how can you be practical when you see this and you see this and you understand this and you understand that? It's very hard, and the drama can drive you crazy. Turmoil, yes. They're overeager for compromise. Again, why? Because they want harmony. They want peace. What other ray was overeager for compromise? Two. Moral cowardice. What do you mean? What do we mean by that?
It's like having an opinion, but preferring to keep the peace.
Okay.
overall.
Okay, even though it goes against your morality or your ethics or your sense of what's right, just for the sake of maintaining the peace because you don't want to fight. Inertia. You sink to the bottom, you don't feel like doing anything. You're inert. Indolence, laziness, and procrastination. Yeah, they're usually not on time. Exaggeration, overly dramatic expression.
They say things for dramatic effect
Right.
rather than for accuracy.
You know what, my son gets together with his best buddy, and they have a group of friends, they get together, and he says, when Sean tells a story, Mom, he says, everybody listens. It's so dramatic. I can't believe that he's talking about something that was so big, and I was there. It wasn't like that at all. So he says he embellishes the story for drama purposes. And my son has a first-rate mind, so his story is gets to the point right away, get to the point, gets to the point, no embellishing. It's not fun to listen to, you see. So everybody uses their rays in different ways. Okay, so here you have fourth ray. I think that's Schubert. Even looks like he's fourth, like he's comic, right?
I think he's the typical.
Yes, exactly. Here's another one. Here's another
Yes,
one.
another one.
Yeah. And his life was not, he wasn't at ease in his life. I think that's it. Any questions? A fourth ray. Okay, talk amongst yourself. Describe the fourth ray.
Great story.
Still do something external.
So far, I really enjoy
I was reading about describes it's about sound and harmony and but
Okay.
I thought, oh, that's so much meaning.
Okay, let's wind up.
And that's really my favorite thing. Yeah. And go to church regularly. It was one last year.
Thank you, Frida. Okay, we're moving on to number 5, fifth ray. Concrete knowledge or science. Doesn't mean and science, it's or science. The energy it's dissecting, takes things apart. It's sequential, goes from one to the next, like in numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's linear. It's probing and it's clarifying. When something probes, it goes deep into something, right? It goes deep, like Pluto. It probes, like Sherlock Holmes, right? He probed into situations. When something is clarifying, what's the element that's being used here? Light. Correct, exactly. So in order to clarify something, you shine the light on something, and it gives. So in science, what is used? A telescope is used, a microscope is used. They all work with light. Yeah, so they want to shine the light on the piece, on the part that they're working with, and by understanding the small, they'll be able to extrapolate that into the whole and to understand the whole. So, by the way, it's very Virgoan, isn't it? Very Virgo works like this. Quality is methodical, going from step to step. Specificity, discrimination, lucidity, works with light again, and detachment, as opposed to attachment. What ray was about attachment? Right. This ray is about detachment. The symbol is a test tube, a computer, a light bulb, a laser. This ray has the word knowledge in it. What does that, what vehicle does that really talk to? The mind. And what other ray was really about the mind too? Third, intelligence, right? Both of these have to do with a mental capacity, something to do with the mind. Yes, it can be translated into the body. Yes, it can be a soul quality. And you're here to discover and to bring to humanity some new invention of some kind that will change the world and change like the AI or like all the technical stuff that's out there. Very fifth ray and third ray. It's hard to separate the two. The abstract part would be third ray. The more concrete part would be fifth ray. Okay, so research, investigation is the scientific method, it's the process. They look at the part in order to understand the whole, to investigate. It requires proof-oriented and methodical, as opposed to third ray that doesn't need proof because it's so abstract. It embodies the principle of knowledge. This is DNA, RNA, you know, all that stuff. Symbol, brain, laser, a test tube, a ruler, a calculator, a protractor. It goes on and on. The five senses are fifth ray. A square. They use that sometimes in mathematics. A light bulb. Why? It shines the light on things. There you go. Brings illumination, shines the light on the subject. It's a very dull light, but it's a light. Invention, experimentation. Many fifth ray minds are around. It's the most proficient mind around. And that's why many people find themselves with a fifth ray mind in learning sciences so that they can go into the medical field, into the science field, into engineering, into technology, into carpentry and all of that. It requires understanding the parts in order to understand the whole. They study the physical form. Computers. Its utility, its invention. And fifth ray separates this from that. The shaft from the, what's the other word? The wheat from the shaft. I got it back. Shaft. I got it backwards. Shaft. It is the ray of technical and technicians of working well with practical matter, putting things together and taking them apart. So people that work with watches, clocks, taking them apart, what's wrong with that? Putting it all together, as an example. It's the ray of discovery. It's defining words. I remember when I first started reading DK, I read the books and I had a dictionary beside me. And I looked up all the words that I didn't know. Constant, and I don't have fifth ray, but I thought I did, but I don't. But I was constantly looking it up to find definition, to understand. And fifth ray is about understanding, standing under something in order to get it. It's the ray, this is a very important series of words, the mysteries of life. It wants to uncover and discover the mysteries of life. The word mystery is an interesting word. And it requires somebody to uncover what it is.
You could also say the mysteries of nature.
Right, right. The fifth ray reveals, and that's another word that's usually attached to the fifth ray. It reveals through light. Revelation is through light. Even when you see these mystical pictures of God coming through the clouds. The word revelation is used there a lot. It reveals the mystery behind everything. I don't remember what this is.
Looks like a microscopic view of a water.
I don't remember what I did here. It's been so long.
I mean, a microscope uses light.
Right. So would you like a first ray to work on you in a hospital, or fifth ray to work on you in the hospital? You need surgery. Exactly, exactly. Precision is another word for fifth ray. Very precise, very specific. Yeah, I don't want them hacking anybody up, you know, you want them to be very precise. It investigates, it researches. So there are a lot of people that have produced peer-reviewed papers and stuff like that, where they do a tremendous amount of research in order to arrive at what they do. That kind of research is fifth ray, right? To be able to identify each thing, to label it, to be very precise, very fifth ray. Creating these dams, creating all of this stuff. It's utilitarian. It works for helping humanity, having come with something practical. Fifth ray tends to be quite practical. It's the seeker of truth, wanting to seek the source. It will uncover the mysteries, and it will bring the soul to the consciousness of humanity in a very practical way, so that all of humanity will understand what soul is. It'll be the fifth ray that'll do that. In the beginning, there was God. It's very fifth ray, this whole thing. Okay, so we can't see that. I wonder what did I do right here? Oh, the green button. Let me see. There we go. Thank you. Symbols. We've gone through the symbols already. The brain is a fifth ray thing. Microscope, computer, the five senses, and so on. I think we've done that. Animals. Why an ape? Exactly. And we have a number 5 on each hand. Primates invented tools. Again, practicality. Third ray, is third ray practical?
Yes.
No, that's right. Fifth ray is the practical one. Both deal with a mental approach, but one is practical and the other, except for the one that is in business. You know, third ray that's in business is practical. The one that is in abstract is not, just to keep everything straight, right? So France, as I said earlier, is this fifth ray soul. So it's got the third ray as a personality, the fifth ray as a soul. There's no soft energies to France. Austria's personality is fifth ray. Switzerland's and Japan's mind is fifth ray. The cars, the technology, all of that came from Japan, you know, even years ago. Yeah. Institutions, research institutions, universities and foundations. So the teaching part of a university is second ray, exactly. But the institution itself is fifth ray. And the way in which school is taught, for the most part, is right. It's methodology. It's following a method. Doesn't work for all students. It doesn't work for everybody. Some of them need drama, some of them need music, some of them need a totally different way to teach. But the method that is taught is a fifth ray method. Schools, NASA, Salk Institution, the post office, pharmacy, medicine, technology, engineering, mechanics, all of that falls under the fifth ray. So anyone that turns out to be a doctor, a dentist, dental hygiene, any of that stuff, you've had to learn the sciences, and the sciences fall into the fifth ray. Okay, vocational tendencies. I said science, research, lab worker, applied math versus abstract math, right? Inventor, technician, engineer, accountant, mechanic, computer programmer.
We had computer programming.
Audio visual, medicine, working with systems, electrician, educational systems, weather forecaster, plumber, esoteric psychology. It was known as the esoteric psychology is known as Rajic, the kingly way of learning, which I'm not saying what I want to say, forget that. The science of the soul, which is esoteric psychology. So it is a science. Persons, Louis Pasteur, Alexander Graham Bell, Webster, Henry Ford, Edison. So all of these are the inventors. Al Gore, who talked about, well, I'm not going to say anything. Ben Franklin, Postal Service. The color is exoterically, it's orange, but esoterically, it's indigo blue. What other color was indigo blue for what ray? Second ray. It's exoteric color. Here it's esoteric. So there is confusion. The learning style is linear, sequential, detailed analysis, classifies, investigative, convergent thinking, bringing the thoughts together into a focus, learns by observation and experimentation. As I said, most people in our world have fifth ray on the mind. The next one is fourth ray. That's most practical. That's most common, sorry. So it's fifth ray, practical, fourth ray. Teaching style emphasizes details, uses models and diagrams, insists on accuracy, linear presentation, insists on clarity. And the gem, lead, fool's gold, iron, metals in general. The planet for the fifth ray is Venus. Venus is that synthetic mind. Venus exoterically is about beauty and about relationships and partners and love and all that, but esoterically it's very, very bright. It's about the synthetic mind. It's about bringing the wisdom and the intelligence into the mind. Yeah. Zodiacal signs, Aquarius is fifth ray, Leo conveys the fifth ray, and Sagittarius as well. And Vendradi, Venus, Vendradi, and it's Friday. Planets, echinacea, specific remedies opposed to overall healing qualities. Music is technopop, perhaps very technical pieces, but not very imaginative or colorful. Do I have any more here? Yeah, but basically what I just said. And the strengths. Strengths, guys. Pull out your sheets. Linear sequential thinking. It doesn't usually leap in their thought. It goes step by step. Keen and focused intellect. Again, focus, convergent thinking versus divergent thinking, which third ray can do. Developed powers of analysis and discrimination. Discriminates truth from error. Accuracy and precision in thought and action. Acquisition of knowledge and factual detail. It defines, it separates. Inquiry through asking questions. And that's why I thought I had fifth ray on my mind, because in any group, I ask a lot of questions, and I used to go to parties and I would ask a lot of questions. It's just because Venus is so prominent in my chart. I have Venus in about 5 different places. So Venus conveys the 5th ray. So that's what my confusion was. And I can be very detailed, accurate and all of that stuff. And as I said, I used to sit with a dictionary. Inquiry through asking questions. I said that. Clarity, lucidity of explanation. Detached objectivity. Why do they need to be detached? Yeah.
They're not biased. And they're very experienced.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, to not be biased. Many people in science are attached to the outcome. They want an outcome to come up to be a certain way, therefore they're attached. And that's one of the weaknesses, is being attached to the experiment or being attached to what it is you're working on, as opposed to being detached, whatever it is, it is.
Someone who's not 5th grade, they might formulate a hypothesis and try to prove it. Whereas someone who's 5th grade just wants to know what's gonna happen without, wanting to know necessarily if they're gonna be proven correct or whatever.
Yeah, they usually want to be correct. Yeah, I mean, it's human nature. But yeah, they shouldn't be emotionally attached. Detached objectivity, to be as objective as they can. That's what makes a good scientist. Facility for mathematical calculation. I've kind of dropped in that area a bit. Discovers through investigation and research. Verifies through experimentation. Practical inventiveness. Technical, mechanical, common sense, and the rejection of nonsense. Do you think that they would believe in ghosts? Do you think that they would buy into a lot of the what they call woo-woo stuff? No,
Not without proof.
exactly. It's proof oriented, exactly. Weaknesses: overly mental and ultra rational. Over-analysis, undeviating linearity and concreteness. Requires proof in matter in order to believe. That's why Kennedy keeps saying right now, I'm going to prove, I'm going to do more experimentation so we have proof for everything. Excessive doubt and skepticism. Yeah, harsh criticism. It's the harshest one to criticize, is the 5th ray. Narrowness and prejudice. Why is it narrow?
It's what it can think, touch, and feel.
It's not open to too many hypotheticals.
But what Frida said is absolutely right. And just think of a microscope. It looks down into the specific. It's narrow. It's a very narrow in their way of observing things. Just using that as a symbol. Rigid and set thought patterns. Idée fixe, for example, is very much 5th ray. Sense bounded. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't care what you say. It just doesn't make sense, right? Excessive objectivity. Lack of intuitive sensitivity. Why?
Too rational.
Exactly. Right. Lack of emotional response and magnetism. And socially awkward. Let me give you an example of that.
Tesla,
Pardon?
Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what he was like, really. Was he? My dad needed open heart surgery, and we went to this biggest specialist in Toronto on heart surgery. And I remember going into the waiting room and sitting in his office, and everything was so professional. His explanation was so accurate and good, and we were very, very impressed. And then, and my dad had, at 80, he had open heart surgery. Everything went well. So then at a party of some kind, I saw him there, and it was like a smorgasbord where you had to help yourself. He was so awkward. He didn't know what to pick up. He didn't know what to do. Like he was just so out of place. Goes to show how specialized, 5th ray word, specialized he was, and socially awkward. Okay, so you get the picture. Any questions? All right, talk amongst yourselves. Discuss what the main qualities of the fifth ray are.
Some of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a big problem with science and trying to connect. I mean, the whole thing just, just, you know. But like she was saying earlier about the surveys, about the commercials, this whole idea that we are the only way. It's like, I was really watching this on like normal during the pandemic. So I found this because I'm not Muslim, I can see it publications.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. So like what the thing is, people don't realize is that because paying so much advertising on TV, so they have right for the journalism side of these big organizations such as these news, right? And things like they're paying the bills for, but if they pass it off as news, it's objective. So I just saw a good example. Right, and then we even made the doctors all fall in line. If the risk of the doctors were all like muzzled.
The goal is really.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, no, but how it's changed now is you've got the streaming business, right, which are all subscriber driven, where they don't have to take advertising and therefore couch and business interests that pay for that, right? I'll give you an example, on Netflix, on a bunch of different documentaries. One of them is on the drug Zen, it's an antidepressant, right? And if you watch that, I've always been opposed to antidepressants, but I know something that's on it. But if you watch that, you realize how dangerous that's like this. I see consistently across the board. In other words, where you're dealing with and not the causes. And pretty much that is starting to go like very where maybe when you be there. Like it's very, but they're just the opportunists about saying, oh, well, just be on the safe side. Well, he's not gonna say no because he trusts them. But the other thing is because no one's going to stand for it. Yeah, like check. I don't know one my first on cancer treatment thing for about 10 years, and she's like, I mean, we're trying to get but I mean, constantly she's being put back into the hospital and having to take medicine. We were on the call yesterday. Yeah, she's like, I think they're just like that. So I was trying to think much longer. And as a result, she's right. Analyzing the voice story and so forth, right? So what I prefer is I wanted to learn, okay, how do I form myself in terms of my system? And so I know much to do that. And that initially we saw is the result of that. But I saw, I read a book, most popular book it's called Super by Dr. Joe. It's rare to have someone that's and this is also trained in that right. We were not training, we had a week of training in first in our 4 years. So he was talking about and then so I was following his diet.
I prefer back to years like Steve Jobs. He's not a first grade. Purely, he's not a first grade person. Purely.
Yeah, I think it's great for your finest stuff, which is to produce T-cells, right? So you mentioned that thing about mushrooms and
Steve Jobs makes something. For kids, for elders.
Well, that book was sitting right, like, you know, the mushrooms are this unselling. Paycheck, because with mushrooms, they're not through the evolution. So what fungus is here is that they break it out.
He didn't care about color, he didn't care about.
So what's that age actually is that when you eat them, they are breaking down.
Yeah, but it's this guy. Yeah, like.
Cells that are back, right? So it's controlled for not getting mushrooms. If you remember, there used to be a nutrient that pumps down, the mother of the breast cancer, and you get her lung mushroom when all else.
But it needs to be.
Because you recover, right? So since I like,
Yeah,
within
people
that,
know if one has.
food that I have types of mushrooms. I have some called sugar mushrooms, which you can cross with
Yeah,
wood.
the which is there.
And
There's still the effect of the actual.
you know, so the other thing that makes sense too is that mushrooms actually serve. As a warning system. They produce themselves and then by itself, they sort of circulate through your body, they're kind of like security through your body, they kind of circulate around. And then when they find like a virus cell, they bring it back. There's a cell, and it's okay, you've got an intruder, and then it sort of says, okay, now we're.
Yes.
Okay, you understand what that cell is? Now, based on that blueprint, okay, we're gonna assign all these T
Yes.
cells. Say, okay, go after them, go after them, and see, that's what can, really help you with the virus quickly, because if you got a really, because the COVID spread very, very rapidly to the body, right? So I noticed now, when I get sick,
So even though certainly the fix.
not only because of what I like, but also because it's
Not very.
and we're on that, yeah, I actually had a deal today, so I'm steps. But you allow your immune system, because it's a. So you allow your immune system to work properly. And also. It's also where it's
Exactly.
So.
So see.
There's always things you can do to maintain your body and prevent.
Can be a different breed, like.
Right, and in fact, the whole thing with the sun is something, and like, I mean, if you know how much price are increasing value, but I mean, there's stock. Yeah.
Maybe.
But I think that's.
We will figure that out. Yeah, exactly.
You're taught in the first try, medical
Fifth
class,
grade is the.
that all
Wants to
pharmaceuticals are
change the
toxic.
nature. Ultimate toxic. It doesn't like.
You know, how does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Some people are.
Well.
I think she mentioned. Yeah.
Hey guys, this is a, tomorrow I'm gonna bring my phone. I brought my phone.
And that's.
I'd like to take a picture of this. This is where I got that picture. Whoops. How the sun, sends out these, it goes into the constellations, yeah, from the constellations, it goes into our sun, which is our solar system. And from our solar system, it then goes into each of the various planets, see, and then down to our Earth, which is down here.
You have that diagram.
Yeah, I know, I wanna take a picture of it tomorrow, I'll bring my book. And then there are so many other, so this is free to read about this, there's some good books there.
So much discussion about extraterrestrials coming from.
I did, but I want to get a fresh one.
You think that,
So that's.
I
first
think
invasion
that-
part, right?
yeah,
The 70s.
there are some
The visions of the great light.
And this is the 12.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the constellation, they were close to I remember I read constellations, and then it goes into the constellations, and each of the constellations distributes to usually three different planets.
That guy
Um,
was.
not yet, but it goes to our solar system. And in our solar system, we have all these different planets, right?
How,
They're part of the system.
how
And then
come
each one, see that like you got red here, you got red
Oh,
here.
like, yeah.
Let me see, it goes back to Aries. Aries,
it's a guy that.
what is that, is that Vulcan?
I'm working the main, so I read a little books.
Yeah.
That's that evolution.
And that's, so yeah, the colors are coordinated. But anyway,
People
this
say,
is
I
how-
have
this is how it comes down to us. Here's
And
birth.
one of the best writers that appeared after this was a former international spy. So he had access to information that very few.
So that's
people
where you
had,
got the pictures.
and international, and you know,
From that book.
well, he couldn't write straight, so
Yeah.
he used. He has a gift.
You wanna see a better picture of what I showed you? I got my picture from that book. These are the stars that are there.
So he was.
Read them before.
Constellations, yeah, so there's our.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like the first day of.
For all three categories.
Yeah.
You're the 20th. Oh,
It's not shiny.
December.
You imagine, you know,
Yeah.
And
Early, so there, and then goes down to
this
the.
kind of thing, galactic.
Sorry.
First grade, third grade, seventh.
Well, the rest of the stuff shows we I don't know how many.
It's a lot of calculus.
Yes, they were giving.
You don't necessarily have your race from your side.
Like those good or deep, you're good or better.
I'm gonna put this in here, Frida, so tomorrow I can take a
Okay.
picture of that. Okay, guys, let's continue.
The-
Are we understanding so far, everything, all the rays? So when I quiz you on this later on, you'll have it all? Yeah. When lunch, it's now 12, can we go to 1 or do you want lunch now? Because it'll be a heavier afternoon.
What's the rest of the group?
Go and do
I'm
that.
okay with one.
1 o'clock, okay?
That's fine.
Okay, because we have 2 more to do, we can get them done in the next hour, and then we can leave the afternoon for getting it. And then tomorrow will be a lighter day. Okay, so race 6, idealism and devotion, okay? It is the breath of God that lifts all to life. It raises up. It breathes the fact of the ideal. What is the ideal? It's a perfected state of that which is not usually right here. It's usually transcendent. It's something out there. And it's ever seeking to be embodied and recognized. So the ideal usually is like even Sagittarius, for those of you who are familiar with the symbol of Sagittarius, it shows a knight on a horse, and the arrow should always be upward pointing because it points it to the ideal, which is way up there. An ideal is always something that's held high. An ideal isn't something here. It's always held high. Okay. The divine relation that God has with all creation brings about joy, ecstasy, bliss in recognizing that everything is related to God. You can call God whatever you want. It can be in religious terms. It can be in less religious terms. And thinking of it as divinity doesn't matter. It's spirit itself. There's no, okay. The ray of the desire of deity is to have all that was sent forth in creation return. So we always say we got to go back to the source of where we've come from. It is the desire to uplift all. The 6th ray then is not about what is in matter. It is about what is not in matter. It's that which is the goal. Sagittarius going to the goal. It's the archetype, which is an image that we have of what an ideal is of some kind. It's the pristine. It's virgin. It's unsullied. It's pristine. It's clean. It's the holy and that which is sacred is held high. And that's what you have in all religions. It's always something that's held high. So religion falls into the sixth ray category. Now, idealism, what's the difference between idealism and devotion? We'll get to that in a second here. Idealism is the ideal offers purity and the measure by which we determine what is pure, what is good enough, what is worthiness. You should be able to see characteristics already in people as I talk about this. The bar of achievement is always held high. And if you don't measure up to the bar of your achievement or whatever you think should be, then you don't feel worthy enough. You don't feel you can measure up, right? Idealism is an abstract, outside of the current state of expression and manifestation, and always will be. It's related to the first ray through its ability to be focused, one-pointed, narrow band of focus. So we found out that the fourth ray was related to the second ray. We found out that the fifth ray is related to the third ray. And now the sixth ray is related to the first ray. Do you see the relationship with all of these rays? Now, the devotion. As the creator of all, Deity is devoted to see that the creation thrives. This is what births the qualities of human devotion, loyalty, selflessness, selfless caring, I got that, and self-sacrifice. The gift of love, it's from the second ray. If you are devoted to something, you give yourself to that, right? Whether it's another human being, whether it's a cause, whether it's the work that you do, devotion carries with it passion and carries a sacrifice of sort. Being humanized, it becomes a devotion. That's what I just said. Devotion to a person, a cause, and an ism. Like faith, it's got faith in it. You have to believe in something if you're going to be devoted to it. You've got to believe that is so. Passion, martyrdom, mysticism, and the mystical experience. Whoops, I went too fast. The sixth ray tends towards heat. There's where we get to Mars. The temperature is minimally warm, usually toward hot, the flames of desire. As a ray of giving and service orientation, it tends toward overextension. Why does it want to give and be service oriented, do you think? Just by this little bit of explanation.
Reach that ideal.
Because it's devoted to that ideal. Yeah. And if the ideal is held high, it wants to serve other people so that they can reach that ideal too, right? It's very much helping and serving and wanting other people to get on with it, to get onto the bandwagon and see what I see. As a ray of the immediate, it tends towards impulsive action and therefore much action. It is the other ray of activity, the ray being, the third ray being the first one, so it's related to the third ray of being active. It wants to do in order to achieve the ideal, and it's devoted to the ideal. It is both a tireless worker, sincere and earnest, and the self-critical judge. Those with sixth ray are really hard on themselves. They judge themselves because they haven't reached what their ideal is, right? I gotta be a good person. I guess I'm not good. I'm a sinner or whatever, you know? And it's been drummed into our consciousness. It is the ray of inspiration and the inspiring voice. So it inspires people to be better. Okay. Energy is upward, it's uplifting, it is intense, because there's passion associated with it. It is one-pointed, it is unswerving. You can't talk somebody out of something if you have a talk about religion and you contradict what they believe. Everybody holds firm to their ideals, to their thoughts, and to their point of view. It's the same thing with politics, by the way. Quality, loyalty, humility, sacrifice, faith, and optimism. The symbols is a rose and a lily, praying hands, a halo, a flag, shows patriotism, a dog and a horse. Why a dog and a horse? And they have a master, and they look up to their master, do they not? Right. The color, exoteric is blood red. Esoteric, it's silvery rose. See how the colors can be confusing? Silvery rose is also for the fifth ray. No, it's not. Sorry. But red is associated with the first ray. The ideal is always held high. Holding the ideal for humanity, inspiring and uplifting. You've got two characters there that were very instrumental in raising consciousness. Faith in all its forms of expression. I think this is in Russia, somewhere. It's the capacity to see the ideal reality lying behind the form. It includes patriotism and loyalty. Have you been able to figure out what country represents sixth ray? Not really. No.
US.
The US. I'll go back to my symbols here. Patriotism. Sixth ray, rah, rah, rah. Have you ever seen a convention there? You know, it's rah, 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 whereas Canadians are always a lot quieter. Ukraine as well. What, sixth ray? I don't know enough about Ukraine to be able to label it as such. I definitely know the ones that the Tibetan gave us. And United States is definitely a sixth ray country, whereas Russia has a sixth ray soul. United States has a sixth ray personality, so it's much more in our faces. Patriotism, loyalty, fighting for causes, all stems in the United States more so than most other countries. Passionate, loyal, possibly blind to its loyalties. The sixth ray of devotion is the ray of service, selflessness, and of personal sacrifice. Missing his hind feet. Hero seeker of the truth. It's the truth versus truth. Which rays were about truth? Revelation of truth, I guess so. First ray, yeah. And another one is well, he said fifth, yeah. Second ray as well. Wants the truth. But this is the truth rather than truth. It's got to be my truth. You've got your truth, I got my truth. That's what sixth ray is all about. Chasing the goal, determined, driven. It is also the ray of purity and chastity and the ideal perfection. It brings in humility. There's a softness to some sixth rays. The ray of the simple, the profound, the unimaginable, and the sacred. But it's austere and simplicity. It is the ray of the transcendent. The ray of warriorship. It's probably Joan of Arc. The ray of militarism, fighter, warrior. There was another ray that was about militarism, and that was fourth ray. Fourth ray fights for the sake of fighting, not necessarily for a cause. It fights to be argumentative, and they're still warriors. Remember Kurukshetra, both parties, both sides fighting against each other. This one fights for a cause and fights for loyalty. Same picture again. It is one-pointed, which can lead to narrowness and the inability to see a wider point of view. It's like the horse that has blinkers on. It only sees what's in front. It doesn't see the wider perspective. And they believe in something. It is intense. It is the ray of forward motion, of speed and impulsive action. A horse, by the way, is a sixth-ray animal. It will fall off the cliff because it just dashes forward. It doesn't stop to think. That's a hint for sixth ray, guys. It is the ray of optimism and buoyancy and laughter and a positive attitude. Did Buddha ever look like that? Yeah. Coaching and teamwork. Rah, rah, rah. Go, go, go. The sixth ray is the ray of gratitude, appreciation, and admiration. Now, the exoteric color is blood red. The esoteric color is silvery rose. Animals, dogs, horses, salmon. You know how determined a salmon is to fight the elements, fight the current, and go to its spawning place. Unrelenting, one-pointed. The country, USA for sure. Oh, this is wrong. It should be Russia, soul. I made a mistake there. It's not Russia's personality, it's Russia's soul. And Italy's soul is 60. Look how religious Italy is. It's got the Vatican there, and it's highly religious. Institutions, charities, the United Way, all religions, the Peace Corps, activists of all kinds, motivational speakers. They try to uplift you when they speak. They try to inspire you. Personal trainers, ministry, crusaders, the Ku Klux Klan. You see how narrow that was? Spanish Inquisition, political campaigns, the jihad, and sports teams. Vocational tendencies is promotions, fundraising, charity, motivational speakers. I've got that twice. Religious work, coaching, cheerleading, crusading, preacher, priest, or a nun. And persons would be Martin Luther King Jr., Jesse Jackson, Mohammed, Jesus, St. Paul, and goes on to say all these religious people, Oral Roberts and Billy Graham, Vince Lombardi, he was a coach, the Ayatollah, can't even say that, and Gloria Steinem, 6 or 8 people. Strengths. Okay, did I separate this into, I didn't separate this. No. So strengths, idealism, it's a strength, an uplifting tendency, devotion, faith, self-sacrifice, power to arouse, inspire, and persuade. How easily, some people can persuade other people. That means they've got the gift within them. Optimism, persistence, loyalty and adherence, earnestness and sincerity, humility, innocence, receptivity to spiritual guidance, like Joan of Arc. She heard voices. She was guided. It doesn't have to be that far out. It could be any cult member. It can be any leader of sorts in a religious way. If you believe in that person. Joan, what was it? I'm thinking of the red pill, the blue pill, was Joan, something Joan. Huh? No, yeah, but Joan, where they drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh, Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, that's it, Jim Jones, thank you. Anything, you are receptive to spiritual guidance. Here, it doesn't give you a negative, but it could be negative. It could be positive. Purity and goodness. Abstracting, the ability to reach mystical heights, like most saints and most people that are written up in the Bible and in spiritual books. Ecstasy and rapture, sainthood and mysticism. So I do have them separated here. Okay, negatives born out of devotion. Devotion without independent thought. Do you kind of see how that can happen? You have so much faith in something, you don't think about it. You're just so devoted to it or her or him. Blind faith, fanaticism, and militarism. You will fight no matter what. Self-righteous, serious, dependency and codependency. Absolutism, black and white, right and wrong. There is no in between. They're extremes. My truth, gullibility, over-trusting, and naivete. Personalization. Do you know what we mean by that? Taking everything personally. Somebody tells you a story, and before you know it, I say, well, that happened to me, and I can relate exactly with what you're saying because this and this and this and this happened to me. They turn it to themselves. They talk about themselves. They're personalizing, right? In emotionalism, like jealous love. Negatives born of idealism, unattainable goals, lack of realism, idealistic impracticality, perfectionism. Sixth ray, if you've got the ideal and it's held so high, there's nothing can measure up to it. It's about perfection, and you really tend to be hard on yourself. Self-negation, there we go. Self-criticism, needing to measure up, the shoulds. I should do that. I should have done that. I should not listen to her or him. Denial. Sixth ray is so good at denial. They don't see what they're doing. They deny. If you try to point something out to them, they'll deny that. It's an escapism. They'll escape into what it is that they hold so dear, including addiction. Unwise susceptibility to guidance. Excess, extremism. Remember, it's all black or white. There's no in between. There's no shades of gray. Hyper intensity. Overdoing. Too much activity. Self-abasement, masochism, and martyr complex. Now, I should point out that I'll try to pull up over lunch the chart showing the constitution of man, and you will see the various planes. And the plane for the emotional body is the sixth plane. So there's a resonance with the sixth ray. So almost over 90% of humanity have sixth ray on their emotions, right? They are reactive. Well, when we go into the various vehicles, we'll look at all of that, but just generally, everybody not everybody, almost everybody has sixth ray strong in their constitution. Now, a lot of Americans have sixth ray, or they would never have gravitated to that country. So there's a lot of sixth ray in the States. There's a lot of sixth ray in Russia. There's a lot of sixth ray all over the planet. And the Piscean age, which is the age that we are moving out of, is a sixth ray age. This is where religions they grew. This is where religions originated from. This is where people fought for their religion. It's all sixth ray. Whether it was the Crusaders, whether it is whatever religion, people fought, and lots of lives were lost because of religion. To this day, they're still fighting about, this is my truth and this is the truth. So sixth ray, for many, many times when I have led these workshops, people deny having a sixth ray because it's got a bit of a bad rap, as you can see. It goes to extremes, and people don't want to identify with that. So they'll say it doesn't exist in me. So naivete is a sixth ray thing, and I think I brought that with me from a previous incarnation where I don't think I have sixth ray right now in my constitution, but I think I must have had, because I was very naive in a lot of areas. And maybe to this day, I still am naive. So there's that quality of naivete that hasn't been emphasized enough here. Let's see if I have anything else. No. So talk amongst yourselves, see if you identify with that, and share until I move on to the next thing.
Well, I used to be.
I
like- So I went to this training. Well, that's how I started out. That's what got me on a spiritual path ultimately. So it was ultimately is positive, because more than that, I had so I understand.
Especially for spirituality.
Wow. That's what I never really understood. Like I could accept it for a while.
I'm not saying activity.
Something, yeah.
It's flash of my
I must have to be told to.
I was a Christian while I was in university, which is, really a lot of different people. So it's really hard to maintain your beliefs. It's actually very fortunate that I did get these courses at that time. Classes. Like I had sort of think, well, if this is true, then it should be able to sustain criticism. And so I was really confident. Unlike what Christians, I was really like, and what the people had to say against it, right? And more so I went to a really tumultuous area, and it was really,
Well,
it was very difficult to come out of it. It was very difficult the longer you're in that mindset, I think the harder it is to just come out of it, and then you have to realize it's an illusion. And live all their lives.
and everybody does, especially people are. Yeah.
They have the hardest time I've ever been, because they were raised.
So that's just like that.
I just saw it in that time, so I didn't have a critical mind, and I didn't have anyone that they say.
Oh, yeah, now it's.
Yeah.
Don't have a report from many years ago. But now it's very.
And they will say, well, that means everybody has to be a Christian.
So I don't know.
But that was it's
Yes.
Yeah. There's like, I have a strong social, I call
Yeah.
it. Said like, it was like, time we.
I think.
There's a big.
Oh,
So
okay.
much.
Yeah.
That
I can never accept that, like, I could never accept that, it didn't make sense that this was gonna be considered a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Grade 6, right?
And I decided to get back.
Serious.
Why they say
Maybe
Well, I think all three contribute to the set of four.
Well, here's an example of that, I wasn't understood. So, where Jesus says that, you know.
Okay, are we ready, guys? We're ready?
how-
Okay. We're gonna move on to the seventh ray. It's called ceremonial magic and organization. Its energy is rhythmic, cyclical, self-organizing, and building. It is the builder, and it's the lowest, if we're going to use the vertical model. First ray being the top, its energy is its frequency, its energy is a little bit less dense. By the time you come to the seventh, there's a denser energetic to it. It's more about manifesting. It's more about something here on the earth. Sorry. Its quality is order, transformation, and we will learn that all the words that have the word form in there will all be seventh ray word. Transformation, reformation, conformation. Think of some other words that have the word form in them. Uniform.
We've got one there, formality.
Formality, there you go. So these are all working with form. They're all form oriented. Seventh ray is about the form. So ritual uses a formation of sort to create a vehicle in which the energy from above can come down into that vehicle that has been created. So that's what a ritual is of any kind, whether it's a ceremony of a wedding ceremony, or whether it's a new age ceremony around fire or around crystals or whatever. It's creating a vehicle in which the energies can come down into it. So symbol for this is a magic wand, a crystal, a map, and beaver. Beaver is the builder. So here, the seventh ray is order and organization. So there's some kind of order in this, I think. There's an organization, if I've ever seen any. It organizes, it formalizes, it brings to conformity. It is the ray of patterns and patterns in nature. All patterns. All patterns. So the hive itself is a pattern and it fits the seventh ray, whereas the bee that creates the hive is a third ray insect. It's a busy bee. It's very, very busy, as are ants and other insects. But the actual form that it has created would fit under the seventh ray. It systematizes. What other ray was about systems? Very good. It's the ray of architecture, working with the form to create its beauty in order for deity or spirit to move through it. Architecture. Not all forms that are created are beautiful. Building the form to allow the divine to come through. Uniformity. It's the ray of ecology, bringing order into our landscape, our world. Recycling it was invented not that long ago. It's a seventh ray thing. And it has a lot to do with cycles and with rhythm. Puzzles. Efficient, orderly, systemic, and sequential. What other ray was about sequentiality? Ritual, formality, pomp, and ceremony. Perfection of form. Perfection of form. Beauty in the form. Every crystal, oh, not crystal, every snowflake, it's got a perfect form. It is the ray of grace within the form of poise and that which is delicate. Kinesiology and rhythm. Coordination, rhythm, timing. Craftsmanship. It is, remember, the ray of the builder, artisans. Because of order and organization, it brings shape and utility to form. It's, again, the ray of patterns. So you have it governing the mineral kingdom as well as the first ray. Why do you think the first ray also governs the mineral kingdom?
Mountains, solidity, and
Hardness, the hardness of the mineral kingdom, correct. So you have the the rock, the hardness of it, and the patterns that are created within the mineral kingdom. Patterns. See the clarity, the brilliance, that's very first ray, coming out in the jewel. Whereas the actual jewel itself is seventh ray. So I have a seventh ray personality. I don't do a lot of entertaining anymore, but when I used to entertain, I would spend so much time on the table that I would lay out. Every place setting had to be perfect. If there was a pattern on a plate, the pattern had to face the same way everywhere. I spent so much time in organizing my table and making it a work of art because it was important to me. So that's one way in which I show the seventh ray. It is the court of law. It is the carrying out of the law. Is it the creator of law? No. What ray creates the law? That's right. That's right. Seventh ray follows rules. These are the rules. This is the law. It's even got the word order, law and order. It is map making. It is orientation. We were big skiers and we would ski all over the world and a lot in the States. And I really was very good at orienting myself. And I remember being on a lift with my husband and I would say, the sun, this is south or this is north or whatever. He says, how do you know? I said, I don't know how I know, but I know that. We would argue all the time about how do you know, and this isn't right, and this is not necessarily. I was always right. I just had that innate knowing of orienting myself to the area. And we used to, when we used to travel, we didn't have GPS like we have now. I had to orient, we had to use from, what's the name? CAA and all of that stuff, And so I had to orient myself and I was pretty good navigator because it's built into me, that orientation. Not all seventh ray people are that way. Like my husband's seventh ray personality, we got along beautifully on the physical form, physical life, because we were both seventh ray, very neat, very clean, very orderly, nothing left in piles. It was always a very comfortable environment for me. But he didn't have that orientation ability. So not everybody has all those qualities. Giving you a lot about me, I shouldn't really, but just to give you an idea. Surveying, map making, all of that. So the etheric field is the electromagnetic energy, and it is a seventh ray, again, form. And so I think I have another picture here where a limb may be cut off. So if someone loses a limb for whatever reason, and you were to take drawing a blank. Say it again. I pronounced it differently, so I'm a little confused. Doesn't matter. But if you take that kind of photography, what it does is it captures the energetic, the etheric field, and you can see that the limb that was excised, or if a leaf was cut off, it would still have the whole of it there. So therefore, a person who lost a limb would still feel itchy, would still, let's say, the toes that aren't there anymore. The etheric is the vitality, it's the energy that underlies the structure of the physical form. That's all Kirlian, I can't get it right. Kirlian photography. So there are energy fields in our body, and these energy fields or energy ley lines in our body is used by Asian with acupuncture and pressure points and so on. Those are all part of the etheric that is being used. Now, this same etheric runs through the entire globe, and we have etheric ley lines and etheric energies that come together, and when they come together, they create a plexus, and that's why there are many parts in the world where they say the energy is so strong. Like you can go to say Egypt, but I was thinking of is it Arizona? Sedona. You can go to Sedona and you can stand on certain areas and you can feel the energy because it's really strong. So that's when the energetics come together and they create plexus, just like they do for us. You have plexus in your wrist, you have your chakras, which are the major plexus in your body, but you have 49 minor chakras and minor plexes. The earth has the same idea, ley lines, which are the etheric, which is seventh ray. So it rules the Devic kingdom. Jeffrey Hodgson was the one that took all these pictures of the etheric. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, we're going to move on to symbol. I think a lot of that has been covered. The gavel, a map, a city, a compass, a clock, very specific, follows an order, the magic wand, a prism, ceremonial robes, an agenda, a schedule, a mosaic, a mandala, blueprints, and a crystal. A beaver would be the animal, the honeycomb of the bee, the salmon, its migration, the monarch butterfly, birds making nests while they're building, and termites are notorious for building their homes in all the wood, right? So country, Spain is a personality is seventh ray. Russia's soul is seventh ray, and Canada's personality, I think, the Tibetan didn't give us this, is seventh ray. You know how there was even commercials on TV. No, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go first. We're so polite. And we're so, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're so polite here, well, at least we used to be. I don't know if it still is, but very much a seventh ray country. We have kind of an order. And if you look at Toronto was built on a grid, a very seventh ray, very distinct lines, 1.25 miles between the major roads. It's grid-like. And so I go to somewhere like Boston when everything is circuitous. You can go crazy there with the traffic. We're so used to saying, I'll meet you at the corner of Bloor and Young. You can't do this in any other city because they don't have these kinds of intersections like we do, where we use the names of the streets to meet people. It's not like that. They would meet at a building of sorts. They don't have streets like that because very few cities are built on a grid like Toronto is. Out of interest. The other thing is, my husband and I, we were major cyclists, and we used to go cycling to different parts. And in Europe, when we were in Spain, and when the group that I was part of, we had to stop for lunch or go to the bathroom, I would go into the bathroom and I couldn't believe, although it's a hole in the floor in these little villages, it's still but the ceramic tiles around this area were so beautiful that they would be the kinds you would use in your own kitchen. They were so gorgeous. Whereas you go to Portugal, it's totally different. You go to Italy, it's totally different. The seventh ray was, and I really felt that energy there when I was there. Almost lunchtime, guys. I'll give you another few minutes here. So, Spain, Russia, Canada. Institutions, the court of law, architecture, ecology and conservation, like the Sierra Club, Greenpeace, the Audubon Society, museums and libraries. Vocational tendencies, organizers, administrators, management, design, building, craftsmanship, construction, architecture, ritual, choreography, dance, kinesiology, a judge, dowsing, beauticians, system management, city planner, and map making. You can see it's very hands-on.
Left out institutions, like a major bureaucracy, like a government, is the type of institution that's seventh grade.
Yeah, but we tend to think of government as first rate, only because of what it wields. It wields,
Right.
it wields.
The management-
The management of government would be a seventh rate.
bureaucratic
Any,
organization.
that's right. Any bureaucratic, yeah. Any,
Passport applications.
that's right. Anything that they create into a system of sorts would be seventh rate, you know, whether it's a passport you have to apply for, immigration, there's all these forms and forms that you have to fill out, you know. So Buckminster Fuller would be a person, Emily Post, Martha Stewart, Walt Disney created magic for us. Merlin, Marie Curie, she discovered radium, and radium is a seventh ray thing. Stradivari, Frank Lloyd Wright, Benjamin Franklin, again, postal system. The Dewey system, the decimal system was discovered by John Dewey. And the color, the exoteric color is white. The esoteric color is violet. And we tend to really use violet for exoteric for seventh ray. And you know, most rituals will use purple. They'll lay down purple, you know, even though he says it's an esoteric color, but it's been brought down into exoteric. I never went over colors with you for the fourth ray. Yeah, I don't think I did. The color for the fourth ray is yellow.
It's the esoteric color.
I think it's cream, something like that.
Mm.
And yellow is when someone in war doesn't want to fight, is a coward, you'll say you're yellow. And it's because you don't bring up that energy that is necessary to fight. Okay, let's see if there's any more here. Yes. Learning style, formal, efficient, systematic, sequential, learn by doing, prioritizing. What does this remind you? Which other ray? That's right. Teaching style, efficient and orderly, according to protocol. Protocol is the seventh ray word. Uses practice and repetition. It's sequential. Excuse me. Crystal amethyst. Planet is Uranus, seventh ray planet. And interesting with Uranus, for those of you that may not know this, Uranus is like way, way out, right? It's near the end of the solar system, but it lies horizontally. So its head center is facing the sun. So can you imagine the energy that goes into Uranus? That's why it's associated with electricity and rebellion and being different, because the energy from the sun goes right into its head center. So zodiacal signs, Capricorn, a structured is which I don't know why I'm coughing, why I've got this tickle in my throat. You guys can read. Monday. Don't know why, can't give you an answer for that. Planets, no, I'm sorry, plants, sunflower, I don't know, hyacinth, lilac, and music, a march, a polka, a waltz, very rhythmic. Signs, Cancer and Capricorn, and planet is Uranus. Okay. Strength would be the power to create order, the power to manifest. This is the manifester. Remember, I think when I was here last time, we were talking about manifestation, and it's the ability to have the vision and to make it happen, to work with efficiency on the material plane, tendency to plan and organize, to be structured, to manage details, to coordinate groups. A lot of seventh ray find themselves in management at work, you know, like managing different parts of work. Ritual and ceremony, the power to build, renovates and transforms. So changing the form to renovate, to be able to see what needs to be done in renovating, let's say, a home. Power to synthesize parts. Keen sense of rhythm and timing. Power as a magician, and the power to work with the devas and the elemental forces. Fenhorn, for example, is a perfect example of those that work with the devas and the elemental forces there to make the plant kingdom grow in a particular way. Some of the weaknesses is rigid orderliness. Seventh ray has to be very careful of not becoming crystallized in its patterns of living, so that there is no deviation, that there is no flexibility, and there is no spontaneity. They don't work well with spontaneity. They like to be prepared. Routinization, subservience to habit. I remember when my sister and I were teaching this together years ago, we would do little skits. And one of the skits would be for me to get the seventh ray, of course. And so she would say, oh, come on. She'd give me a call and say, let's go for a cup of coffee. Oh, no, I can't, because right now I'm watching the Young and the Restless. I can't miss that. You know, things like that. So you see how rigid seventh ray can be. They don't have that kind of spontaneity and flexibility, you know. So overly rigid, inflexible, structured or planned, not spontaneous or adaptable. Like I can give a presentation, but I have to be prepared. And I have to have all my stuff set up for myself, and then I'm confident. Without that, I'm not as confident. Structured or planned, not spontaneous or necessarily adaptable. But then again, we have other rays as well. Conformity, the status quo. They don't like to also upset the apple cart. Very much like fourth ray. They want everything to stay even, to the status quo. Over concerned with rules, regulations, and the dead letter of the law. That's a negative. Following the dead letter of the law. Like, would a seventh ray person jaywalk? You know?
Sometimes.
Of course they do.
They
Of course.
feel very guilty.
Of course they do. I don't feel guilty. Hard to change patterns, compulsive, obsessive, addicted to patterns, excessive perfectionism of the form, a judgment based upon appearances. So looking good is very important to seventh ray, because either they judge themselves or they'll judge somebody else. Addiction to occult phenomena, spiritualism, and dark magical arts. So, you know, all the voodoo and all that other stuff that works with all of that's all seventh ray, but it's on the negative side. You know? Okay.
It's so funny because it's that means all those people who do voodoos and they are all 7 ray of the
Well, they have seventh ray within them. They can wield the magic. They can wield that. And what is magic, guys? What is magic?
Manifestation.
What is magic? I'm going to ask again.
manipulation of energy.
So you have one that pulls, you know, that has the wand and pulls a rabbit out of a hat. You have that kind of a magician. What is magic?
The application of knowledge that results in the manifestation of something from one plane on another plane.
Close.
Power to manifest something from one plane to another.
Yeah, it's close. It's taking the unseen and making it seen. That's what magic is. Taking the unseen and making it seen. You take an abstract thought and you make it known and seen. That's magic. You take whatever they use, that cards or whatever they use, unseen, and then you make it seen. That's magic. That's what magic is. Taking the unseen and making it seen, making it manifest. That's where you have the manifestation. So it is taking it from one plane to another. Okay, do I have anything else here? Oh, we're not going through that now. Okay, can I put this down because it is lunchtime, or should I just leave it?
So when
Well, we're going to have lunch, so you don't want to keep recording. Okay, I'm going to put this down.